Okay, so we're gonna move on to the nerves, and it might cut my head off, but bear with me. So, just a reminder that the brain has two hemispheres. There's the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And now, we have cranial nerves 1 through 5 that we're going to talk about in this specific video, okay? So again, 1 through 5 in this video. And our little key bank over here is S is for a sensory nerve, M for a motor nerve, and then we'll write out mix if there's a mix of sensory and motor. Now, let's start with cranial nerve number 1. That's going to be your olfactory nerve, and that's going to be your sense of smell. Cranial nerve number 2 is then your optic. So that's going to be your eyes, okay? And those are both sensory. So I smell, I sense there's a bad smell. So, or if you work at a factory or you live in Lafayette and you smell that factory, cranial nerve number 1 is what's going to help you smell that factory. And that is a sensory nerve. Cranial nerve number 2, which again is your optic, is also a sensory nerve. So like right now you're using your sensory nerve to see me. So one way to remember that the olfactory is number 1 is that it comes first when we're moving anterior to posterior. So we're going to start here, then we're going to go to our eyes, okay? So like let's say we're going out on a date, okay? So before we even see them, we're probably going to smell them. Like, are they going to smell good? Are we going to smell good? We're going to make sure that we smell good for our date. Then once we arrive to the date, we're going to look at our date, and that's it. That's the first thing that's going to happen. We're going to make sure that we smell good. We're going to hope that they smell good. Then we're going to see them. And then we're going to move on and we'll get back to our dating scenario. Then optic nerve number 3 is an ocular motor, and that's in charge of opening your eyes. So opening your eyes, your pupils constricting. And so cranial nerve number 3 is again ocular motor, and that is a mix between sensory and motor. So back to our dating scenario. So before we even go on a date, we're going to make sure that we smell good with cranial nerve number 1, which is olfactory. And then once we make sure that we smell good, we're going to meet our date and we're going to see them for the very first time. And then after we get to the 3rd cranial nerve, we're going to open our eyes and really take what they look like in. And then we're going to constrict, because we're going to just make sure, like, wow, we're really here. And that's going to cover cranial nerves 1 through 3. Then we go down to 4, which is probably saying it wrong, but cranial nerve number 4 is a trochlear, and that's going to be a motor. So that's when your eyeballs are going to go down and in. So think of cross-eyed, trochlear, down and inward, and that is a motor, and that is cranial nerve number 4. Cranial nerve number 5 is the trigeminal, and that is also a mix of sensory and motor nerves. And what this guy does here is he allows you to eat a banana. He is those muscles there in your mouth. So he allows you to eat a banana, and that's where it's a mix. It's a motor, I'm sorry. And then over here, what this cranial nerve number 5 also allows to happen is that it senses the scalp in your face, and then the cornea of your eye, and the mucous membranes of your nose and your mouth. So let's run through that again. So cranial nerve number 1 is the olfactory nerve, and that's going to help you smell. Then we're going to move to cranial nerve number 2, which is your optic nerve. Cranial nerve number 3 is your ocular motor nerve. Cranial nerve number 4 is your trochlear. And then cranial nerve number 5 is the trigeminal. Come back for more.